Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Platform. I'm Callan Davison from The Game Train, and joining me on the platform this week is Dan Simmons. How are you?
Good, thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, going all right. So, you are a collector of sorts.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. This is why
Yeah.
we've got you on the show this week to talk about your video game collection.
Yeah.
Or one that's like grown and shrunk over the years.
Yeah, it's had a few evolutions. Yeah.
As they do, all right. So let's go back to the start. How did you get started in collecting?
Well, actually, I was at a friend Carl's place.
Oh, really?
Legitimately.
The
Yeah.
game train, Carl.
The Game Train Carl. Yeah. We were working together at JB Hi-Fi. He wouldn't stop talking about this game called Bioshock. Said I had to come over and check it out. And went around to where he was living at the time, and he had a whole game room and recording studio for his music set up in his garage, and we must have played till 3 or 4 in the morning, just exploring this gorgeous game. And from there, it just got me back into video games and collecting again.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that would have been what, 2007? Was
Yeah,
Bioshock?
around 08 to
Yeah.
07, somewhere around there, yeah.
All right. So then, how did it progress from playing games in Carl's garage to actually starting to amass awesome things?
Well, yeah, I kicked off with an Xbox 360 from work. I still have that box console here. It's in the wardrobe. And yeah, basically I just got thirsty for new games and then started garage sailing with a ex-partner of mine, and we ended up just every weekend, every Saturday morning, literally going garage sailing, and just found so many gems for next to nothing.
You just wander in these random garage sales and go, oh, look, there's like an original Super Mario Bros. 3, or, and that's an example.
Yeah, you'd be getting up at 4 a.m, getting the newspaper, outlining a whole bunch of garage sales that looked interesting.
Yeah.
Going with $50 in your pocket, and some weekends you wouldn't buy anything. And the other weekend you would spend $20 and literally come home with 50 games. It just depended.
Wow. So
Yeah.
over the years, collected a lot of games. How many do you think you amassed over that time?
It'd be around 2,500 at one point, I think I had. Yeah.
And that's ranging from like Atari through to modern stuff.
Everything from Atari, literally. I didn't go lower than that, like Commodore 64. None of that really interests me. Atari was my oldest console I probably collected, and maybe some ColecoVision.
Yeah.
And everything else was all the way through, and even Japanese variants, anything I could get my hands on that had cool box art or spoke to me in some way. And then at some point I just was collecting games to try and get complete collections of Mega Drive games and Super Nintendo games, and
Did you ever complete a collection?
came pretty close with the Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had so many Mega Drive games for a while. It filled about 3 bookcases at one point.
Wow.
Yeah. Went a bit nuts.
Tell us about some of the bargains you picked up along the way. You would have seen some things that were going for like bugger all, but you knew there was worth there.
Yeah, one time I was in Toowoomba in Queensland, a rural town there, and I walked into a random like cash converters, but it wasn't cash converters. It was a no-name brand, father and son kind of deal.
Yep.
And they had all these games in their cabinet, NES games, and I asked them if they had anything else out the back, because everything they had in the cabinet was $30 or more per cartridge. I was like, these are way overpriced at the time.
Yep.
Well worth it now, but back then. And they came out the back with this foam box full of cartridges, and in there was Cogswell's Caper for Nintendo. Really hard to get rare game, Jetsons game.
Yeah.
Boxed mint.
Huh.
They wanted $3 for it. Had no idea. And they had Conker's Bad Fur Day for N64 boxed mint.
Oh.
Again, $3, because it wasn't a Mario title. That's all they cared about. That was the money ones, apparently.
And that was banned in Australia, wasn't it, Conkers? At one stage.
Oh, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember renting it as a kid from our video store. That's how I knew about that game.
Yeah.
But super fun game.
I remember back in the day there was like a lot of controversy over it because of things that Conker did in that game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot of controversy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So they're the 2 games I picked up for $3 each that were literally the best bargains I ever got.
It's amazing. Have you still got those today?
No, I sold them with the big bulk of the collection. The collector that ended up buying from me when I had a big cull in about 2013,
Yeah.
they wouldn't buy the collection if those 2 games weren't included.
Wow.
Because they knew how valuable they were. He didn't know what I paid for them, but yeah.
Wow. So tell us about some of the other rare items you've amassed over the time.
A few little bits and pieces. I got this thing from Dreamcast, which was a Dreamcast game called Sega Gaga. On the box it just says SGGG. And essentially it was a game where Sega really were realizing their demise.
Yeah.
They knew they were going down the toilet. They knew they were falling out of the console market and the game market, and essentially made a game where literally it's you're working for Sega trying to stop the evil Nintendo corporations putting out bulk crappy games. And you're a kid that's in charge of making decisions to try and save your favorite company, Sega.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all in Japanese. I've never played it. I watched videos of people playing it that understand and read Japanese. But yeah, I managed to get a limited edition rare set of that. It's probably the rarest thing I have.
How many of those were produced, do you know?
I don't think it was more than a couple of hundred.
Wow.
And that's might be too high even, because it was just really for the Japanese market. Might have even been less.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, you've got a custom handheld Atari
Yeah.
that we had a look at before.
Yeah. I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos on people that mod consoles, because I always find that really interesting. People that are really innovative, and electrical knowledge is not my strong point, so it's good to watch.
Yep.
And there's a guy in there called Ben Heck, the Ben Heck Show, and he makes consoles from scratch. He decided to see if he could hand wire an Atari on a PCB board, and ended up building one, 3D printing a case, setting up a little screen, putting a battery in there.
Yep.
And then they gave it away like 6 months later, and I won that competition. I won this one-off Atari 2600 portable handheld. Yeah.
That's so cool.
It actually takes full cartridges. It's not like it's a ROMs hack or something. It's like a proper hardware console.
That's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
awesome.
pretty rad.
Do you ever sit down and just play some of your old collection? Just
Yeah.
for kicks?
Yeah, I do. There's been games I wanted to play that I played as a kid, like Donkey Kong Country,
Yeah.
that I wanted to replay again, because I just remember that having a massive effect on me on Super Nintendo. Just the music, the rain, the different like seascapes you go through. So I clocked that. I play a lot of these old games that mean something to me.
Nice.
Sample other ones that other people like, that recommend.
You mentioned before about having to sell a lot of your collection.
Yeah.
What was it like going through trying to sell like all that stuff that you'd had amassed over all those years?
I think just to change the context here, I didn't have to sell it. I did because I felt like it had grown out of control. I'd
Right.
stopped buying when I moved to Melbourne. And when I moved to Melbourne, I sent 47 boxes here plus some furniture.
47. How big were each box?
They were full tea chest boxes.
Wow.
37 of those boxes were my games collection. So that's when I realized I had a problem, because my moving costs to Melbourne were like nearly $8,000, and most of that was because of my games collection.
Wow.
So yeah, I decided at one point that it needed to go, because I wasn't collecting things I was passionate about anymore. I was just buying stuff because I didn't have it. And,
Right.
and it just turned into this thing where I realized, like, where am I going to be happy with this? Like, I'm not even enjoying finding stuff anymore. Like,
Yeah.
there was nothing cool to find. I had everything I physically really cared about and wanted.
Yeah.
Like Street Fighter games, or Resident Evil, or Gran Turismo, Halo, all these games that meant something to me on various consoles. I had them all. So, yeah, I decided to do a massive cull and put it out there, and Kotaku got in touch. They were going to do an
Really?
interview. Yeah.
Did they end up doing an interview on you?
No, in the end, I didn't want to do the interview, because it was kind of getting awkward. They were like, wanted to pitch it towards, because I had a games company at the time, and I built this game called Nom Nom Monkey.
Okay.
They were like, kind of like, oh, are you selling the games to be able to fund your struggling game dev career? And I'm like, no. It's one of the questions I got in one of the emails. So I was like, nah, I don't think this is for me. I don't know what angle you're trying to play this on.
Yeah.
I don't think they really understood why someone would sell a collection. But yeah, I didn't need to. I just decided to, because it was taking over 2 rooms in a house I lived in, and it just I didn't play them all. There was too many games to play.
As it would be when it gets to that sort of level.
But to answer your question, yes, it was very hard to sell.
Yeah.
When the guy came, I had so many people interested that just wants bits and pieces, and one guy came and he had cash. And he was a young kid, maybe 22, and he just wanted to, he was so about retro games. He had like maybe 30 games himself and 3 consoles.
Yeah.
And he goes, I've got this much money, like a decent stack of cash.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you actually willing to part with? And I opened up my Excel sheet of everything I'd catalogued that I had, and he basically brought about 70% of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you end up choosing what to sell and what to keep? Because I assume you would have kept a few things from
I was already keen on someone to bulk buy because previously when I culled doubles and extras and consoles I didn't really need, I'd always done it on eBay, and that turned out to be a logistical nightmare as the years got on. Just with freight, people claiming things didn't work when they got there. When you well and truly tested it, sent them a video of it working, or
Yeah.
played the game before it left and sent them a video just so they couldn't claim stuff like that. And PayPal wasn't really on the seller's side.
Right.
Kept losing money all the time, as far as them just taking it out until you proved otherwise. So in the end, I was just really keen for someone to just come and buy it. So I'd already kind of worked out what wasn't important to me. Stuff
Yeah.
that I had as a kid, stuff that I've been given, I never sold.
Yeah.
If anybody ever gave me a game or something to add to my collection, it never got sold because I
Oh.
didn't think that was a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of stuff I wouldn't sell and stuff that was important. So that's kind of how I narrowed it down. But it was tough, man.
Are there any items that you like fully targeted and took a long time to actually find in physical form in the end?
Yeah, I played a lot of Morrowind on PC
Yeah.
back in the day, the Elder Scrolls, and it was one of the only games that I got into before I played Bioshock with Carl. Really,
Yeah.
before that, for a big gap from when I was a young teenager to when Carl and I played Bioshock, I really didn't play any games. It was just Elder Scrolls for a couple of years there on a dodgy old PC. And that was one that I went hunting for a long time because it was actually hard to find. You could download it on the net, but finding a physical copy of that game,
Yeah.
just tough, yeah. And probably the other one that really evaded me for a long time was, the Conker's Bad Fur Day, which I found randomly after 4 years in that.
Wow.
In that,
So you'd been looking, couldn't find it, gave up.
Couldn't find it at a good price. You could find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's eBay collectors. There's different classes of collectors. Collectors that'll be like, oh, it's $80 on eBay. Oh, I found one for 60. Bang, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I kind of like the hunt and finding it randomly and being like, that's so cool. Hearing somebody's story about it, if there is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the one I went hunting for the longest.
What's your favorite non-video game item, like a figurine or something like that you've like collected over the years?
Yeah, that's really easy actually. It's got to be my Resident Evil PlayStation controller. So the chainsaw controller in there.
Oh wow! So that's what
Yeah.
it is. I'm sitting here at the
Yeah.
moment in this collection room that he's still got here, and there's this chainsaw sitting in a case. I'm like, what's that? Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, they made it for PS2 and they also made it for the GameCube, I believe, for Resident Evil 4 from memory.
Oh right. Okay, yeah.
And the cool thing about it is that it had like a gyroscope in it. So when you lifted up the controller in the game, it would actually make, like when you lift it up in real life, it would lift up the controller in the game and activate the controller.
Wow.
So
okay.
that's one cool thing. The second cool thing is they're really limited, as I think there was only 1,000 of each made or something.
Yeah.
But the defining factor is every single one's different because the people on the production line, when they sprayed the red paint on it and the splatters, they'd use their own fingerprints to put fingerprints on it.
Wow.
Yeah, so every single one is individual. It's like a cool fact about those. Yeah.
So how did you end up with that?
That was a garage sale find. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I bundled that in with a PS2 and I think 2 games, and it was $20 all up.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, it was a good find.
Over the years, you've been collecting and then selling and et cetera, et cetera. Like, what have you noticed about like, how it's changed over like that sort of decade?
Yeah, I don't think I was into it before it was a thing. I think I was at the start when people were starting to realize what stuff was worth, because sometimes you go to a garage sale and people wouldn't part with an old Xbox for $80 or less.
Right.
And you'd be like, it's not really worth that. You've just got a generic black original Xbox. It's not like it's a big deal. But sometimes they just wouldn't budge. But I think people got savvy. I think that's what's changed. People got savvy. They're finding old Nintendos in their wardrobes and being like, wow, we've still got this box Nintendo from the 80s. That's got to be worth some money. Going on Facebook Marketplace and doing a quick search, or eBay.
Of course.
People are on their phones 24/7. So I think that's what's changed the landscape, is that it's no longer like you walk somewhere and be like, oh, wow, hey, you've got one of those sitting there. What's that worth? And, so...
Yeah, you go, right, that's worth about X amount of money.
They've done the research in seconds because it's so easy to.
Wow, yeah. Imagine doing this like back in like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it would have been swap meets and garage sales, which is what I loved when I first started collecting in the early 2000s, yeah.
What now? Like, you've still got this, sitting in this smaller room now. There's still a lot here. We're talking 80 amiibos, there is multiple GameCubes, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, etc., etc. What next? Are you going to keep collecting or just grab something here or there?
Yeah, I just grabbed stuff here and there. Like after this tonight, I'm actually going to pick up 8 Sega Mega Drive games that I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, from a Facebook Marketplace sale that was quite cheap. Because I was kind of on the hunt for a specific like game. So Street Fighter 2, really wanted again.
Yeah.
I sold that in the collection, and I found a guy that had 8 games at a really cheap price, and I was like, hey, and he's literally 2 minutes away from me in the same suburb. So that's after this. But so little dribs and drabs.
Yeah.
Really, as you can see in this room, which to describe it, it is packed to the rafters, and that's literally the way that I've rolled. I got no more room in here, so there's not a lot more I can add, but I think eventually I've got an arcade point blank machine at my work, which is part of something to entertain customers while they're waiting to pick up their order sometimes, and to blow off steam when we're frustrated at work.
Yep.
But I think eventually to be a proper games room dedicated setup. So like a bigger room than just a 2 by 3 meter room. Yeah. Yep. No, not really. Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to visually describe some of the things that, you can see in here. But
I guess a collection is one of those physical things, and
Yeah.
it's very hard to explain.
Yep.
And Carl, he does have Fallout 76 here if you are listening to this. I know your feelings on that game.
Oh, I paid way too much for the big edition with the helmet. Yeah.
It's a nice helmet, though.
It is
helmet.
it's a great helmet.
Yeah, nylon bag, though.
Yeah. I did my claim. They're
You got the actual
I claimed
bag.
it, and they're going to send it in the end of 2019, start of 2020.
No way, that far away.
Yeah, they sent me an email saying it'll be within 9 to 12 months. It'll be sorted. Yeah.
Wow.
I put the claim in January, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's not a quick process to fix a little Hessian bag, apparently.
It's not.
Yeah.
Jesus. Well, okay, Bethesda really messed up with that one.
Yeah, they dropped the
All
ball.
right. Well, since we're wrapping this up,
Yeah.
as always on Game Train, we have to do our little trains here. So let's roll into the lame train. What's something that sort of gets on your nerves about the industry or you don't like?
Or, I can answer this really easily, but it's not a super quick answer, but I'll try and keep it quick because we're wrapping it up.
Nah, it's all good. Talk as long as you want.
New consoles. The constant laziness of developers, whether it's that games have gotten so big that the patches are that big, or whether they just rely on the fact that everyone has unlimited internet and it doesn't matter if a patch is 40 gig every second day.
Yeah.
Every time I will turn on a brand new console, I find myself having a shitty experience, mainly because there's a 20 gig update for the console itself, like the PS4 or the Xbox One.
Yep.
And then whatever game I want to play, there's been 7 patches since I played it last, if it's been a few months.
Yep.
So, like, for example, I put Spider-Man in my PS4 last night to finally have a crack at that game that everyone... It's probably over now, but it was a big thing, 3-4 months ago.
Yep.
Dude, it had a massive update for the console and a massive update for the game.
Yeah.
I think it finished installing at 1 a.m. and I went to bed and got up for work at 5 and was like, that was disappointing.
Damn.
Foresight, for me, I should have turned it on earlier to do this, but I'm just used to retro consoles where you turn it on and what was in that cartridge or on that disc, that was it, man. So that's lame, I think, in the new industry.
Another quick question that sort of popped into my mind, talking about new consoles. Always now we're seeing like, all right, Monster Hunter Special Edition of PlayStation 4, Kingdom Hearts Special Edition of PlayStation 4, Spider-Man Edition of PlayStation 4. Like, as someone that used to collect, how does that make you feel just seeing all this stuff? Is it just like, how could you even bother trying to get all that these days? Or
Exactly. I have like one of these limited edition PlayStation 4s. It's one of the 500 million consoles.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, the see-through purpley blue opaque version has a limited edition number and rose gold trimming. But like, that is literally stood out to me because it seemed like it's limited, it's rare, and they're not going to do this again.
Yeah.
But all the variants of like the Call of Duty Xboxes, the Minecraft Xboxes, like unless you're into that game, that's the only people that are going to collect that stuff, because you're not going to have 25 Xbox Ones just because there's all these variants.
Yeah.
Like, somebody might. There might be hardcore out there that are really into it. But that's going to be rare.
Hobby.
Yeah. So I think that's watered down these limited editions because they're not limited. They're doing a new one every couple of months. You're spot on.
Yeah. All right. So let's roll into the hype train.
Hype train.
What's something that you're excited for in the gaming industry?
Something I'm really excited for is VR that's really accessible for everyone. So like accessible. Like, I've played VR and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I think PlayStation VR is a bit compromised. don't think it's right where it needs to be. It's kind of fun,
Yeah.
but the titles aren't there. It doesn't maybe have support for developers, or it's hard to develop. I don't know what's on the back end there.
Yeah.
But I think once VR kicks in properly, and it's easy, it's not heavy, it's not clunky, you can kind of sit down and get good movement, not have to necessarily have a massive room for it. I think that's what I'm excited for.
Okay.
Immersion, being immersed in a game.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, like we've done a bit of VR stuff on Game Train now. Like I got a VR set for Christmas, and that was my first real experience. Best one that stood out for me so far has been Beat Saber. It's just freaking
Really?
hands down.
What's that?
It's a it's a rhythm game where you hold two PlayStation Move controllers, and symbols move at you, and you got to slash them with your lightsabers.
Oh, I've seen videos of that. I didn't know what it was called.
Yeah,
cool.
Beat Saber.
That looks super fun.
It's the best VR game I've played. So I played a bunch now, but that hands down, boom.
Have you played? Just one quick thing. Have you played Super Hot?
No.
So that's like a game where there's like time relation. Every time you move, time speeds up. When you stop moving, time slows down.
Right.
And it's called Super Hot because you have 3 or 4 dudes running at you. They're all polygon figures. There's no faces to them.
Yeah.
Always white rooms with minimal cell shading. But you've got to like work out what you're going to do. And then once you start moving to do it, everything speeds up and they'll be shooting guns at you.
Huh.
So it's a strategy, kind of work out the room, how to kill these dudes without getting killed yourself. That's super fun. That's the only game I've played so far that grabbed me.
Nice. Yeah, well, I hands down recommend Beat Saber as well. That's
cool.
It's a lot of fun.
And that's on PS4.
PSVR, yep.
PSVR, okay. Yeah, I don't have that set up in here, but my brother does. I'll check that out.
Yeah, I recommend you do. But yeah, Dan, thank you so much for joining us here on the platform.
No, thanks for having us.
We really appreciate your time and stuff, and
no worries.
Having a look what sort of goes on in the mind of a collector and and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But for those that want to keep listening to other Game Train stuff, you can find us at GameTrainPodcast.com, on Instagram at Game Train Podcast, on Facebook at Facebook.com/GameTrainPodcast, or on Twitter at Game Train Talk. But Dan, thank you so much for joining us here on the platform.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for coming to check out my little nerd room.
No problem. All right, and this has been The Platform.